Hi, and welcome to the Blues Focus podcast with me, your host, John Graham. Start of an interesting period of time. Before we get into that, I'd like to say hi to my fellow Blue Noses. Tommy, how are you?
Very good, John. How are you, mate?
Yeah, another season. That's a lot. I
Yeah.
think we're probably into about my 45th season, I think it is. And
Wow.
Jamie, how are you?
Good, mate. Yeah, all good. Like you, ready for another season. Hopefully, a more positive one this time, eh?
Yeah, I think every season I tend to say, this season is going to be different. Put a bet on. Normally, when we're in the championship and it's about 50-1, and I fancy it, but in my heart of hearts, definitely don't
Bad
fancy
decision to
it.
put bets on Blues, honestly.
But I
Really bad.
actually haven't had a bet yet. Because, 3-1. I think you're buying money at 3-1, but we'll get into that. I think we're eternal optimists, but I'm going to say it does feel a little bit different. So, before we get into all of that, Shrewsbury game. I don't know whether you both caught that. Tommy, over to you first. What were your thoughts?
Well, it was much better than the Paderborn game, let's say that. We absolutely got thumped against them. I thought, oh, God, these signings don't look great. But fortunately, we've played some teams that we're going to be playing again this season, and we've looked really in control. I think that the new signings in like Hansen and Cochrane, it is Cochrane, not Cochran or anything like that. I think
Cochrane, yeah.
I'm pronouncing that correctly. That's going to get used to, actually. Going to take some getting used to, actually. But they all look really good on the ball, which obviously suits the type of player we're trying to play under Chris Davis. I think it's nice, and it's a change for once, because it's not like seasons in the past before where we've been a bit unsure of where we're going to be in the table and everything. Well, I think with this season, we've got like a nice sort of set out goal where we know that we need to get promoted. It wasn't like in the championship years gone by, whether we weren't too sure whether we were not good enough for the league and probably going to get relegated, or whether we were this season going to do really good in it and could push for promotion. But we know exactly what to do this year, and we know exactly what our aims are. So I think that'd be nice, and this team can work towards that rather than sort of the unsteadiness we've had in the past. And I mean, like that Williamson, the big Icelandic guy, 6'4" of him. So I've been told, it's like, yeah, I can have a bit of that. So with all the nice playing football and everything, we get a few headers with him in, and I'm going to absolutely love him there. He's a Blues hero in the making already.
No, without doubt. Jamie, did you catch the game?
I was out, but I had it on stream, so I was watching it. I think it was very nice to watch us against, like you have said, a team that we're going to be playing against this season. And we did. We just were in pure control. We were up for it. The tempo was high. We were pressing them. You can see that there's a clear game plan already, and it's nice to see it. And like you said, that 6'4" lad at Cam is going to be an absolute joke. I mean, when in doubt, just bring him on, throw Duke on, send every cross in the world into that box, and surely something will happen. Beautiful.
I know, yeah. We have to start prepping for our chance for him already.
I haven't seen many 6 foot silly number 10s, to be honest. If you look at the back in the last 4 or 5 seasons, beyond that, when we've had 10s, they tend to be close to 5'10" than 6'10".
Yeah.
So he's a
bit
of
a more like.
I don't know. Yeah, bit of an odd one. But I think my takeout from the game, I think they've all got a point to prove, and I know it's going to sound like a broken record at times. This, but and I hate to. I'm going to caveat with everything. It feels different this time, because I think even in the seasons where, even if we go to the start of last season, then we were relatively. I suppose there was a positive, obviously, vibes with the new owners. We knew they were coming in. We felt that potentially there'd be, there might be money available. There are a couple of signings, but nothing like, what we're seeing at the moment. So I think that there's always been, whatever season it's been in the last, ever since we've been relegated, there's always been that sort of slight optimism, but there's always been something that's been in the background, or whether it be a manager or whatever it is, that sort of knocked us back a bit. And I think the pressure is going to come on this season, where I'm struggling to find a negative from and I think anybody, even if they weren't Blues fans, and you look at, the manager, for me, it's only really the manager that's got a point to prove, because he's unproven. but you look at the manager from Ipswich and what he's done. Similar sort of profile, and he was his first sort of major appointment, I guess. And I think Chris is in the same position, but obviously he's got a good pedigree with the jobs and the roles that he's had. And I think the pressure from a board point of view, we all know what the board's expectations are around the no fear football, and that's great. It just wasn't fit for purpose when they tried to impose it last year, because square pegs, round holes, wrong squad, wrong everything. And but I suppose, trying to be relatively philosophical about things, everything happens for a reason. And I look back and I say, okay, but if we'd have stayed up, would we threaten playoffs this coming season? And I'm thinking probably not.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you what.
Sorry.
I think it genuinely is, and this might sound a bit weird, but I think it's actually better that we have been relegated. And if you follow this channel quite regularly, you know that a couple of months ago, prior to the relegation, I was very adamant that we wanted to stay up and we wouldn't look good in League One. You got to move forward and everything. And I'm absolutely still positive that we should still be moving forward. But either way, I kind of can understand it now, because the signings we can make in League One, there's less restrictions on the financial fair play. We've taken a lot of it anyway away from us, through all the FFP we did at the sort of start of the 2024 year. And players, they can look at that, and like some of the players who probably should be championship level can see this season as a bit of a season to work out English football, because like players like Koji Miyoshi had his first season in the championship, and the championship is mega quick. It is, you move so fast, you can't even really keep control of everything. You drop down a league to League One, and some of those players can understand the league a bit better. And the same with the new signings as well. So rather annoyingly, I think I've actually probably misunderstood that. Obviously, no one wants to get relegated, but you can sort of work out why League One for us at this current stage would be beneficial for us. If we get promoted, though, because if we don't get promoted, then my point is right, because we're stuck then. And then that's the whole other issue, because teams do get stuck there. Like Jamie, your mates with the Portsmouth fan, they were stuck there for years. Sunderland stuck there for years. Bolton are still stuck there. Ipswich, prior to Kieran McKenna coming in, stuck there for years. Teams that have gone straight back up, usually they're in the balance of getting things back on track again. Like Derby went up last season, so they're probably going to get back on track. Wednesday have survived after coming back up as well. So things are moving on up for them as well now. I imagine Portsmouth will do it. Sunderland are still, battling it. They didn't have the best season last season, but they were pushing for they're in the playoffs last season, the season before that. So, as long as we just don't get stuck, then we're years down the line from ever making a return. But if we get promoted straight away, I could see us doing a bit of a Kieran McKenna job with Ipswich, really. I could see us moving in that flow, because as soon as you get going, you just will. That's how football works sometimes.
Jamie, do you think that the now we've had time, the dust has settled since the relegation? So where's your head at with it? I mean, I get time. I was on the fence throughout the last 10 games. They were on with you, Tommy. There's part of me. Let's just survive, and then we try and go again. But I think it would be difficult to then appoint a Chris Davis in a championship role in a club, even though he's got all the assets going for him, and probably a bigger budget, probably more ability to sign players. But it's a big ask for first up in the championship. So I don't know, Jamie, what do you reckon?
I was very much on the same wavelength as Tommy, as I don't want to go down. No one wants to get relegated. But I did say, and I said to you, didn't I, Tommy, the day we got relegated, I said this could be the blessing in disguise that Birmingham City needs.
It's on the blog, yeah.
We can get rid of the deadwood now. We can gut this squad out. We can start afresh. We have always been renowned for having a good youth academy. Taking away Jude, taking away like your Bellinghams, we have always brought through decent, good talent. If there was ever a time where we brought in Chris Davis, who will probably play a lot of youth as well, we need a big squad this season. With Paint Trophy coming up, we're going to be... If you do well in every competition, you're talking 70-plus games. If there was ever a time to bring these youth and make the boys into men, it's this year. So this could work out for the best. We've got rid of the big earners. We got rid of the people that we have, let's say, outgrown, like that style of football that they want to play. Like you were saying, John, that no-fear football. We didn't have the players, like you said, square pegs, round holes, man. Like 100%. You can't play one-touch football. I love John Ruddy, But there was no way we could play the style of football that these wanted with a 38-year-old keeper being expected to play sweeper keeper. It's not fair on him.
Yeah, 100%.
Like,
No, I completely agree. I completely agree with that. And
I love the signings. I think Bielik on an extension is an absolute statement of intent, by the way. Like, that was massive when I saw that. I was like, that. Because let's be honest, Bielik could walk into, I'd say, most teams in the Championship for me when he's on his day.
Yeah, easily.
I've gone out there on a limb and said he could play lower Premier League football for me. On his day. He's class.
No, I think I'm saying to my boys that, you know, you look at someone like Bielik, and he should just be head and shoulders in League One. And if we can do, and again, I'm not saying this is what we're going to do, just putting that out there. But if you look at an Ipswich, where, you know, they've carried pretty much the same squad through those leagues, albeit, you know, they've signed other players. But I've absolutely no doubt that Bielik, to your point, Jamie, he's a definite. If he was in a Burnley from last year, or he absolutely wouldn't, you know, he wouldn't look out of place. You know, when you're going into those upper echelons, then, you know, maybe he'd find his level. But, you know, I'm totally with you, and I think, again, you make a good point about the youth players, and I think just maybe rewinding a smidge just to the Shrewsbury game, because obviously Shrewsbury put out a pretty strong side. If you look at, well, all things being relative, without being disrespectful, but they put a pretty strong side out to start off with. And I haven't seen many performances from a Blues team where it was just domination, wasn't it? And I know it's a pre-season friendly, you can't look into it too much, but you made the point, Tommy. These are the sides that we're in playing week in, week out. So, you know, we've sort of seen, you know, what that sort of looks like. And I think the side that he put out, certainly in the first 45 minutes, you know, it was strong. But maybe going back to what you're saying about the youth players, Jamie, when you look at that side he put out, that first 11, most of the youth came in second half. Who do you think is going to be knocking on the door? Because, I mean, he's got a tough gig, you know. He has got a tough gig of players that are either senior players that are going to be knocking the door off the hinges, or just the youth players that, you're right, I could probably name 4 or 5 that are overdue a run. But we keep signing players, and you're like, what? Yeah, good luck with that. So who do you fancy, Jamie, as maybe somebody that, or a couple that might sort of squeeze in?
Oh, I mean, your first problem, and it's a really lovely problem to have for a while we haven't had this, is we've got 2 very good goalkeepers for a start. We've signed 2 very good goalkeepers for this league. Let's be honest. I mean, they both can play championship level, in my opinion, very easily. I mean, in terms of youth players, obviously JJ standard. Ramel Donovan needs his runabout. There's a couple of youth defenders, I believe, that are looking good. Junior Dixon, I don't know what that man has to do to get game time. And then I'm looking forward to the full return of Alfie Chang, because I felt like he could be someone who is solid in that middle. And I feel like he's got that bite about him that we're going to need in League One, because this is a rough league. You're gonna need someone snapping at ankles in that league at some point.
Tommy?
Yeah, I agree with Jamie. I think it's going to toughen them up as well, because I mean, the Championship's a difficult division, but the League One's a tough division. That's the thing. It's going to be boisterous. It's going to be hard on them sometimes. It's going to be very taxing on them as well, I reckon. I don't know, really. I think Alfie Chang coming back is going to be great. George Hall coming back is going to be great as well. We didn't see enough of him last season. Ramel Donovan, I was thinking about him earlier, actually. I was thinking we can find out what he actually is this season. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've sort of worked out what Alfie Chang and James and Hall have been, you know, we sort of know their positions. But like with Donovan, like Rooney was playing him on the right a lot, but we don't know if that's his best position. We don't know if he's going to be more of an attacking midfielder, whether he play better on the left or whatever. I mean, there's other players that we do just know that positionally they will fit in perfectly, but you know, Donovan might find a position that's best for him around a certain player, you know, so that'd be interesting to find out. Apart from that, though, I can't think of who else there is in terms of youngsters. I think.
Well, I mean, Fogarty came on, didn't he? He's played a little bit, and I think it's probably the only position where we're short.
Yes, I agree.
You know, centre half, and we have been, well, forever.
Yeah.
You know, but we haven't had any.
Yeah,
we haven't had any depth. We've sort of maybe had one and a half decent centre halves, maybe, any given season. But anything when you go beyond that, you're into your Mark Roberts and so ons, and
and your Harley Deans, according to you.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, Nick to live in for 5 years. Well, you could see Mark Roberts is back at Barnsley, so that's 3 points for us. See how he gets on with Jay Stansfield, but we'll come on to that in a minute.
And we've got Harley first game, haven't we?
Reading. Oh yeah, Reading, of course.
Oh my!
Reading at St Andrews.
Wow. Well, let's see how it shouldn't be done. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that. But no, I think that Fogarty's looked pretty good as one of the ones that we haven't seen much of. Yeah, but again, debut season when the pressure's on League One and following relegation, to put a young centre half in, that's a lot. And it'll be interesting to see whether Bielik goes in at centre half or not. I don't know. I mean, I like him there because he obviously he can start the play from there, but he's completely different. I think there's a lot of questions around. Are we shipping anyone out? Because your Pikes, your Mioshes, your Sandersons, I think Buchanan's probably gone because we haven't seen him. There's a lot of players there that you're like, are they here or are they not here? But they're getting a lot of game time. So you're like, we're investing quite a lot of energy into players that, we probably, if they need to go, they need to go. But if they don't go, then we got a massive squad. So what Tommy, thoughts? Do you reckon any of those guys are going to be moved on? Or
the only player who I would allow to go is a Jordan James for a sizable fee. Otherwise, keep hold of him because we don't know what this season's going to be like. And I personally believe that with the squad depth that we've got currently and building on top of it as well, I think that's going to be a massive role in how we go forward this season. Because last season, I mean, we had some decent players. Ethan Laird was a great signing in my opinion. So was Lee Buchanan. We kept hold of Ruddy, and Drama is obviously we're back in for him as well. So that's another addition that could perhaps be coming down further in the future. We just didn't have the depth last season. So if we have it this season where we've got an Alex Cochrane, we've got Lee Buchanan with him as well. We've also got Ethan Laird and Cody Drama, and then, adding other players on top of that as well. I think that's key really in terms of how we're going to move forward as a promoted team, because what I've said for a while now is that we haven't been a very seasoned team. When we get injuries, it's just like we have to move the whole entire team around just to accommodate one place in the team. That's why we've had over the past few seasons, Gary Gardner playing at centre back, because we literally didn't have anybody else to fit that spot. Like you were saying earlier, John, it's as soon as we've lost one centre back, we're sticking him in the back. So we need to keep hold of some players, and the only player, that's why I would say the only player I would personally wouldn't want to get rid of really, but for the money, for the aspect of the investment back into the team, would be a Jordan James, because I reckon we could get a 8 million fee or something like that for him, particularly for the stuff that he's done for us in a relegated team. And that's why when I saw Stansfield being linked for about 5 million or something I was like, yeah, but also if we can't even get that for Jordan James, then we shouldn't be spending that on a Jay Stansfield. As much as I absolutely love the guy and I think he's an absolute a terrier up front, he isn't that worth that much in my opinion. So we need to be a little bit wiser when I think it comes to that, spending that type of money on players. Yes, it would work perfectly for the team, but if we're not going to get that money for James, we're going to get 2 million or something stupid, then we need to be more proactive on that and just think of how it's going to fundamentally change the squad when it comes to decisions like that. So other than that, keep everybody we can because the team looks good.
Jamie, given obviously manager's first role and the pressure's on, so I think for him it's a tough call to say, well, yeah, I want all these players, but if you've got a Cody Drama as a backup in League One, how do you think for a new manager he's going to cope with just managing expectations? I know there's a lot of games, but do you really want to be playing in the Papa John's or whatever the hell it's called now? It's a bit of a joke. The players are going to want to play in the league. So do you see any challenges with that? Would you want to move people on out of those players that we mentioned?
I think Backer's gone. I think Backer's going to go. I think that one's pretty much done and done, isn't it, from what I'm reading?
Yeah.
Which is sad because I love Jorginho Bacuna. I think he would have been an absolute joke in this league, and I think he would have took the absolute piss out of 90% of the teams we played because he just
When he was in
doesn't
form.
he?
Yeah,
that's what I mean. When he was up for it, he was horrible to watch play against, weren't he? Because he just like absolutely do teams over. I think Backer's going to go. I think if players want to leave and they're in contract, I think we do what Derby did with us in terms of they loaned us Bielik, but they were in the league below. And you kind of say to them people, if they want to go, you kind of go, well, look, I'll loan you out for a year. If we don't go up, fine, go. But our plan is to be back in the Championship in 12 months' time. So we'll loan you out for this year. If we don't go up, fine, we'll sell you. But it's a risk you have to take. I think Paik, I'd be devastated to lose, but Paik is, in my opinion, too good for League One. After 2 games in the Championship, everyone was like, he's a whole level above our midfield already, this kid. Like, we've gone from Ivan Sunjic to Paik Songho. Like, that says it all.
All the times, didn't he? He can play the ball nicely and just keep control of the midfield, which is something that we didn't have in a defensive role.
Yeah. I don't want to lose Koji. I think he offers so much. I think he's just that bit of flair and class. The other side of that, though, is with Hansen coming in as well, I don't see much game time for Dembele. So the same story at the end of last season. He's going to struggle.
But you know what? I mean, I think Dembele was the one player, which amazes me, because was it Huddersfield where he was just, I can't remember. He scored. He was absolutely unbelievable. And you're like, wow, we've got a player here. And I don't know. He just dropped off. He fell out of favour. Rowett came in, didn't play him that much. You know, few rumours about the way that we reacted to that. I mean, personally, you know, we've got Hansen in now. I'd rather invest time in George Hall. You know, I think that it was only 18 months, 2 years ago where he nearly went to Leeds for a lot of money. He'd already played a game. He needs a season to rebuild, and you know, I'd probably want to see the back of Dembele and give Hall his. And I think that's what we've got to do. You know, we're going to have to ship a few out to give these players the time that they need. And I think Buchanan's gone. I don't see any reason why he shouldn't be involved in most of these games that we've had. I'll be telling tomorrow to see if he gets any game time. But Cochrane's looked the absolute.
Yeah, look,
he's been fabulous.
He kind of looked how Buchanan looked at the start of the season, didn't he? You know, just like immaculate, couldn't get anything wrong out of him, really. I mean, like that, particularly in games like Bristol City at the start of the season, it's just unplayable, really. It was amazing.
Yeah, and you know, there's others. I mean, I'm going to chuck another one in there that is divides opinion. Certainly in this household is Tyler Roberts.
I like
Tommy,
him.
thoughts?
Gosh, I mean, like, where do you begin with him? Because there is a player in there somewhere, but he didn't perform last season because he was a bit injured. But also at times he did look really comfortable in certain games. Like the game against Coventry was just one of the standouts for him of the season. But also on the other hand, like there can be games where he's just like, I didn't even know he was playing in certain games. It's like, oh God, yeah, there he is. It's like, forgot about you. But I suppose that's kind of like how a lot of our players can be sometimes when they're like absolutely in their peak form, like Dembele. You know, you notice him all the time. When he's not playing well, he's not even there. You know, and like I don't know, because it depends how good other players are playing. Because if George Hall, who's playing like attacking midfield and just absolutely bossing out of the park, then Roberts don't get a chance, does he? It's the same with Williamson as well, and all the other players that are in that position now. You know, Roberts has either got to adapt his game to find a different position or boss those players out of the team, which will be good, you know, because we haven't had like some good competitiveness amongst some of the players in the team for a while. It's all just been a bit like, you've got this position, we'll find someone else to try and like, accommodate you with it, and that just hasn't worked over the last few years. So it'll be good, you know, and it'll be interesting to see how they all react to it, really, whether they're going to react to it in like a professional manner and just get on with it, or they're going to, you know, really kick up a fuss and fight for their position or whatever, you know. So that we'll find out, you know. But at the moment, in my opinion, you need to find a place in the team because, you know, Davis is finding ways around him, isn't he? Otherwise, he would be in those teams, wouldn't he?
Yeah, Jamie, not just him, but I suppose the other one is Anderson as well. You know, what thoughts on those two?
You're a fan of Keshi Anderson, aren't you?
I love Keshi Anderson. This is the problem. Like, I like Tyler Roberts and Keshi Anderson. Like, and only because Tyler Roberts last season, especially, was one of the only few players that, when he did find that fitness towards the end of the season, looked very comfortable on the ball and looked like he actually knew what he was doing. Like, same with Keshi Anderson. All right, apart from the fact that he finishes about the same level as I do and he can't shoot.
Can he actually lift his leg backwards to shoot
Yeah,
or
do you know what I mean?
trick it forward instead? Because I've never seen him take a shot before.
That's what I mean. Like, he just...
The goal he scored was a deflected own goal.
Oh, what game was it? Was it QPR at home when we drew 0-0 and him and me off you 1-2'd it to each other about 3 times the box and you just like, please, just hit it. I can't deny that the man will run his absolute socks off. He will give you every bean of energy in that man's soul every game. Powerful on the ball, reads the game fantastically. Coventry owns the absolute spectacle of that. Yeah, he got the own goal, but mixed with he broke up loads of their attacks. He pushed us forward. There's a great player in Keshi Anderson, but again, same as Tyler Roberts, same as a lot of the signings we made last year, which was the risk and the reward. They're injury prone. They've literally got hamstrings made of cheese string. So, unfortunately, they're going to get injured. They're going to get hurt. So, maybe we need a bigger squad this year because, let's be honest, if you play Keshi for more than 4 games in 2 weeks, he's probably going to be out for 3 months. If you do the same with Tyler Roberts, he's probably going to get injured. Dembele showed that he's literally made a paper mache towards the end of the year anyway. So we've got a lot of great players, but a lot of also injury-prone players, and it's a bit of a fear, isn't it?
I think with Anderson, he's I actually quite like his attitude. I wouldn't class him as a match winner. I think he's the 25 to go. He's a presence. He's got a bit about him. I think you need players like that in your squad. He's not a starter for me. Roberts has been interesting because he has looked. I know it's only Shrewsbury, but we say only Shrewsbury. We're playing him 3 times next season. He really looked up for it. He looked up for it, and I think he has got a massive point to prove because at Leeds he was really well thought of. Played in a good team. Obviously, he's been injured pretty much ever since then, or on and off injuries. But I think if you can get a player like that in League One, and he can get a full pre-season into him, I think that you might find that, and I think he's got the ability to play. To your point, Tommy, I think he could play a lot of different positions. So out of all what are classes the also rans from last season, I'd get rid of Dembele. If JJ, still don't know what his best position is. I see flashes of brilliance, and then he disappears for long periods of time. And
can do.
Under this manager, we're going to find out whether he's a footballer or not, because
I think he's a footballer. I just don't think that, like you say, he's found that position, hasn't he? Because his possession on the ball and everything is literally the best of the club. You can't knock him off the ball as soon as he got it. I can't remember a time he has given the ball away, to be honest. He's one of those players that I think he always just has it.
But again, what I would say is the way that we play football, it's not like he's coming, 10 yards to the centre half and saying, I'll have it off here, and then dictating play. He doesn't do that. So what I'm saying, I think all of our midfielders are now going to have the opportunity to show us and the manager whether they can actually play football or not, because that is exactly what he's going to expect. Everybody's going to be asked to be able to receive the ball when they've got 1 or 2 players on them and ship it on and make space, because that's what this guy's all about. So I think there's going to get, there's a beauty of a new manager. It's a clean slate, isn't it? You'd like to think that the reputations and the people that have sort of maybe felt they've been outdone by last season will get a fair crack of the whip. And, maybe they're all garbage. Maybe you'll get somebody that comes from left field and you're like, Jesus, I didn't see that. You just don't know. And I think that's part of the excitement for this season that, hopefully we'll sort of get when Donovan and Rooney, he just looked an absolute dream of a player, and you just don't, people click with different managers. And I think this guy's going to give people the opportunity to shine. And I guess, tomorrow night we're going to see, because that is a different level, like and levels. So I guess we'll see on that. Just want to quickly, because Tommy, you're far better versed than I am in this. So just on players that we're linked with, and I do want to kick off with Stansfield, because Jesus, I mean, if he's in League One, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
I mean, he's on the upward curve now, and to go into that league, I mean, and the other thing is with it, apart from FFP, I think the Jordan James scenario is they'll sell him if he wants to go. We don't need the money. And then to the same point, if Fulham wants 6 million, I think it's more if Stansfield wants to come. I think the money's there. It's just a matter of, like I said, from an FFP point of view, we don't really want to go back down that road. But I think if we sign Stansfield, it's mental. Yeah. And I'm absolutely here for it. I mean, I really like Alfie May. I think he's done more work in 45 minutes against Shrewsbury in the pre-season friendly than Hogan's done in the last 2 seasons. The guy, absolute dynamo. I love it, and it's not rocket science, is it? That's what we want to see.
Exactly.
But I don't know. I think we're linked with other players. So yeah, Tommy, and then over to you, Jay. Are we linked with anybody that I haven't mentioned?
Well, obviously Stansfield's an interesting one. Cody Drama, obviously, we're sort of on the rumour cusp. There's not really too many proper sources or anything. There was the one that we were, the Blues Focus Twitter, I should actually say, were reporting on it as well. But I'm not entirely sure if that's coming from reliable sources either. But I mean, it's all up in the air. Things can just sort of happen, can't they? Because the Emil Hansen rumor just suddenly came and then he was here. It wasn't even like something that was on the horizon and been brewing for a few weeks. It was just on the morning. We're linked with a Swedish player, and then on the evening he's here. So that was just one of those ones. I think we'll have a few more of those type of players that come through. I'd like to see. Obviously, this isn't a rumor, but I'd just like to see a few more type of Alfie May signings, because I think it suits the league that we're going into. We're safe then, we can experiment with players like Hansen, and if we're bringing Stansfield in, obviously, then that's just the statements, isn't it? Like you say. But I think if we make a few more signings like an Alfie May, then we can really stamp ourselves as like firm promotion candidates then. Because at the moment, obviously, everything's still up in the air. There might be a team that we just had no idea was going to come through it all. But, we can definitely put ourselves in that category for going up then, because we should be, even with the players that we haven't signed, with the team that we still did have coming down from the Championship, was still more than capable of getting promoted. We just need to play the right football, and I think whatever other players that we signed at the moment, I think the better one is really, because we could sign anybody at this point and we're still looking strong, really. We could, I don't know, we could buy Hogan back again, who still look good, actually, to be honest. That's all your faces then.
I mean, have you heard any rumours? If not, where would you be? What type of players, or what positions would you want to be? Would you want to see us sort of bolster a little bit?
I'd like to see us bolster some more defenders. Maybe another person like a Drame who can play both fullback positions, just for that bit of extra cover. I think definitely a centre half or two. Bring Fogarty into the bench at least, give him some game time. But I think we're going to need more centre backs. That was a bit of an Achilles heel last year, wasn't it, really? I think there was 1 or 2 games where we shifted the back four about 3 times in 90 minutes because of injuries. I think I watched Cody Drame one game play right back, left back, and centre half in 90 minutes flat. That's your biggest problem. For me, defence, maybe bolster the midfield a little bit. 1 or 2 signings. I'm an advocate. I've been saying for a few weeks, Joe Morrell from Portsmouth hasn't re-signed yet, and Joe Morrell's a fantastic little footballer, a little aggressive centre mid who wins the ball back and he's class on the ball. That's what you want. Bring him in.
Yeah, I agree. Defenders. I don't know much about midfielders though. I think we're all right for midfielders.
But if you're going to lose Baka, going to lose JJ, that's too big. If JJ does go, that's 2 massive holes in the middle of the park there.
Yeah, and I think that's where we're all a little bit. It's not long now, is it? Let's be honest.
No. It's only a couple of weeks, isn't it?
Exactly, and it's sort of, you get into the point where you don't really want to be, as I said earlier, giving these people or these players time in valuable pre-season games, and then all of a sudden JJ's off to Italy or whatever it is, and then you're like, okay, well, we're going to sign somebody to fill the gap, but that player hasn't played any pre-season, doesn't know how we play.
No late deals, basically. We should. I think I've said this about James actually on a podcast previously. Is the fact that if he is going to go, it's got to be a couple of weeks beforehand because we've got a season to prepare for as well. You know, like Atalanta, if they want him, they can't sign him on the last day before he goes before the start of the season. You know, things need to be done like now, pretty much, because otherwise, the team's going to be prepared for and everything. You know, and that's going to change everything up. So we don't need that. We need like business done as soon as possible, really.
On that note of late transfers, Birmingham City, if you are somehow listening to this, if you ever have the audacity to keep me up till gone midnight to announce Oliver Burke ever again, I am done. I am fully done with football. If I ever get baited into an extra signing, assuming it's someone else, and then see Ollie Burke's face appear on my screen, I will bounce this phone through windows. Never again. I was so mad that day. Like, I couldn't believe my eyes. I want someone at the club to explain that signing to me, by the way. I'm still waiting on that. I need an explanation. An explanation of Oliver Burke.
I think knowing the owners and the way they've performed, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, and I won't stop. So we're very lucky. We are incredibly lucky. And, you know, we moved from last season. Everything happened for a reason. But I think they've got it in the locker to have Stansfield absolutely done, and they announce it just before the start of the season. Yeah, I mean, you know, you look at, and I can go back a long time. The amount of 20 goal plus a season strikers we've had in my time watching Blues since 1979, you can probably count on two hands, probably nearly on one hand. And you know, you've got all the other clubs in the Midlands that seem to just churn out strikers, either homegrown or buy them in. They just absolutely smash it every season, 20, 25, 30 goals. And we just never do it. And if you look at what we've got at the moment, yes, we've got a proven guy in Alfie May. And, you know, typical Blues, if he gets into a goal drought, I've seen it happen. So, you know, all of a sudden he can't play anymore for whatever reason. And then you go beyond that. Dukey, you know, what can you say? I'm so glad we've signed him again. I just think just for the shift he put in at the end of last season, the guy was just battered. He gave absolutely everything. So, and there's not a centre half in that league with 20 minutes to go that wants to mark him. I can promise you that. So having him as that, you know, that makes sense to me. But I still think you're one short. You're one short of a proven. I think Dixon's got to get a shout, but again, it's an ask. You can't just because you know if May goes down, what is Dukey going to start? He can't. He's not going to start, is he? He can't. No. He's just not capable of doing it. So I think that is an obvious omission in the squad at the moment, and that's why you heard it here first. I mean, I didn't think we'd be in for Stansfield, and maybe it's just clickbait over the last few days. But if there is any substance to it, we've got the ammunition financially to get him, and I think these are typical Americans. They want a story, and this would be the story. Yeah. And then after that, Jesus, you know, if everybody stays fit, we're going to have some fun because that kid will score an absolute avalanche of goals in that league.
Yeah. Can we talk about the potential of a 4-4-2 with May and Stansfield up front? The absolute dogged work rate that them two would abuse defenders with as well, because neither of them will stop running. Neither of them.
You know, how about a Hansen, Bielik, Pike, Miyoshi 4? That's mental.
And then we're forgetting about Thor. Like, he's going to walk into that.
You haven't even got the Giants in there. It's just like...
You got Laird bolting down one side, Buchanan or Cochrane the other side, just full sending it as well. This could be awful.
On the walls for us to walk the league. It's just very Blues not to, isn't it? That's the
and you know, Tommy, I got you right. You get to a point where you're like, I know everybody says HMS pissed the league, but I know, but you look at everything that we've got now. 17,000 season tickets sold, brand new, you know, an open stadium. New facilities. Apparently, you can actually buy a pint of her now, which is great.
Word on the wire, you can get a beer at the ground.
Who knew?
What's next? Hot water in the taps.
But I mean, I have been loosely involved with the fan zone back at the main stand on a couple of projects that I've been working on. That's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be unbelievable.
Brilliant.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's 100+ season goals, 100+ points, and we then really go at it. But everything is there for the taking, in my view. But probably leads quite nicely onto tomorrow night's fixture, because we're definitely going to see what I mean. Look, we've got no rights to be playing them off the park. Let's have it absolutely right. But I think it's levels of, we've seen the Shrewsbury, and now we're going to, and Paderborn, maybe, I don't know, maybe it was too soon,
Probably.
whatever, a bit of aberration or whatever. But tomorrow night's going to be interesting. So, Jamie, what your thoughts on tomorrow night? How would you approach it from a manager's point of view? Would you be going as full strength as you could do, given it's probably the marquee fixture before the start of the season?
Well, like we've said, there's still a lot of places that are going to be up for contention. I'd say to the lads playing tomorrow, I'd be like, look, this is the step above, like you said. These are going to be the hardest team we probably play this year by far. So just go for it. Play your strong. I'd play my strongest 11 for the first 45 and full send it and just be like, look, let's see how we get on. Let's see if we can get a goal. Let's attack them. These have European football experience. These is a big football club. Go at it. See what we're about. Why not?
Tommy, what do you think? Would you sort of stay in the pre-season mindset, maybe stick to the plan, or?
I personally would, because injuries are always a thing that you can keep in the back of your mind. I also think that if you suddenly put your first team out and you get absolutely slaughtered, then that also plays into that as well. It's like, if you've got all the best players in the team and you're 4-0 down after 40 minutes, then you're like, oh, well, that doesn't look too good. I think we can do a good mix of some youth players, some of the first team players, kind of how we've been playing in the last few games against Shrewsbury and Solihull Moors as well. I think that we can probably play like a Williamson again, bring Duke on in the second half. Pretty much what we have been doing, actually. I think that sort of way of going about things is sensible. I agree with Jamie in a reality where like everybody's avoid from judgments and everything. I think that would be fantastic to see, because you're not going to get a better chance against like a Rangers, who are like, are they Europa League or Champions League this year? But either way, the European competition teams. So that's going to be that would be like a fantastic opportunity to see how good we are. I mean, it probably like be even better actually had we done it behind closed doors, because then the manager and everybody could have got a really good idea of where we were at in the season, everything going into it and everything. But yeah, I just think we need to be a bit more cautious than ambitious, really, because we'll find out how good we are when the league starts against Reading, which really, like, we should be trying to win that game really comfortably, just to be like showing that we're here and everything, and also pissing off Reading fans as well, who I really don't like. I like Reading fans, I just don't like their team. I just think they're a bit boring.
Well, I mean, we've actually scored 6 past them in recent years, which is they're one of the, and that was under Rowett, so anything's possible, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think
Damari
also,
Gray, wasn't it?
It
was Damari Gray's game, wasn't it? The Reading game.
Yeah, I think. Oh God, I think Clayton got a couple maybe as well from memory. I can't remember. Yeah. Everything molds into one these days. But I think the other thing to mention maybe that Rangers are going to want to come down. Take the League One status out of the equation for a bit. And I'm not just saying it because I'm a Blues fan. We're a big club, and Rangers are coming to Blues, and they're close to the start of the season. They're going to be wanting to put a marker down for their manager. So I think this could be a pretty competitive, certainly first 45. Jamie, I'm with you. I think both teams are probably going to go out strongish because you don't want to get embarrassed. I think if we can start with the same side that started the Shrewsbury game, albeit we have signed that centre half, haven't we?
Who, the Dutch one?
Yeah.
No, he's just rumours at the moment.
Bugger.
Which one are you thinking of there? Is it the Austrian one?
Isn't there one that we signed?
Yeah, we've signed the Austrian kid. What's his name? Clara. We've signed him. I thought you were talking about the other one, the guy whose name I can't pronounce. Something like that. Yeah. Yeah, we signed Christoph Clara from he's an Austrian centre back. Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see how.
I hope he's better than the last one we signed.
Yeah, fucking hell.
Jesus Christ! My God, we went for 1.5 mil.
I know.
I mean,
we went for more than we bought Ethan Laird for. Fuck me.
Who?
It's insane.
Ayew,
Ayu's just signed to where has he gone? What team has he gone to?
I don't know.
Yeah, I've got nothing against the guy. I just thought he was a bit
Oh.
crap for us.
Can someone explain to me how he's worth money?
Honest to God, just wow.
Somebody
Anyway,
looked at his back pass in the game against Watford and thought, "Yes, I'll have some of that."
It's not even the back pass against Watford. My gripe was that the man couldn't stay at centre back. I watched the game against Southampton, and the man followed Che Adams back in our their half. I was like, "What are you doing?" Like, there's man marking, then there's that.
I actually, to sort of cover up his inabilities to defend, and I might have said it on a pod. I'd have put him in at CDM. Just if you got to play him, you get him out the way because he was a little bit pedestrian on the ball, but he wasn't. I don't know.
He wasn't terrible.
What am I talking about? He was garbage. So yeah, let's just hope this Austrian's better. And
my biggest fear though, it didn't Rangers want Dion, or am I being daft in thinking that?
They've wanted him. They've been sniffing around him for months and months. And I'll put this to you. I know we ain't got his centre halves. I'm not convinced about him. I'm going to put it out there. I'm not convinced.
He didn't look that good this towards parts of last year, but I think he looked more solid with Bielik next to him because Bielik looks like a Rolls Royce. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like Bielik would make me look phenomenal. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but
he is. The problem with Sanderson is the fact that he's at what? Is he 23, 24? We gave him the captaincy role, which was a very stupid thing to do. Even at the time, I was still a bit like, oh, I ain't too sure about that. But then he does all right at the start of the season. He's alongside like Kevin Long, who is, even though he hadn't played for many years, stuck alongside a good player who's good experience and everything. And this is that same with Bielik. You stick him alongside somebody as inexperienced as Iwu is with him as well. Like the both players are just not up to. They both don't know that system as well. So then he's getting into trouble and giving stupid back passes away against Plymouth. I was doing stupid back passes against Watford. They just didn't have the right setup last season. So this season, I think he will look better because he'll have somebody alongside him who will be a more stronger centre back who can, help him along his side and everything. So, it didn't look good last season though, because, he was trying to play a system that wasn't very suited to him at first, but also as well that he just kept making simple mistakes. Like the Plymouth one, for example, like if he just launches it up the other end of the pitch, the problem solved. And that's what the problem was with him. He wanted to do that and everybody else wanted him to do that, but Rooney and the system wanted him to pass it back to Ruddy, which is by the fact that none of that would have worked anyway. So like a lot of what's going to happen this season, I hope it's just going to be a keep it simple type of attitude really. And Chris Davis at the moment is playing nice football, but also keeping it very simple, nothing stupid, which hopefully we can eliminate in all departments of Birmingham City for the future.
I think you're right. They've in the game against Solihull and the one against Shrewsbury, there were quite a lot of diags going on either from the if the centre half's taken off the keeper and he's sort of gone into the channel and they tried the big switch. I'm here for it because when you got somebody like Hansen, get that bit in between the centre half and the fullback,
great control as well.
You're in. Oh, absolutely.
Really
and so I think Sanderson would benefit from that, but his biggest problem is he spends more time on his arse than he does on his feet. And as a centre half, if you get a ground, you're done.
Yeah,
and he's a walking yellow card every single game. And I just, for me, from a money point of view, if Rangers want to give us $2 million for him, I'll pay his cab fare. I just don't think he's the answer.
It's quite expensive.
Mate, it's fine. It's fine. I'll take one for the team. I'll get Ollie Dean to drive the cab. But I think the other element of this is that if you do put a Bielik in at centre half, you're both absolutely right. You solve a problem. You've got somebody who's just unbelievable footballer, and try a Fogarty with him. Obviously, we've got the Austrian that's coming. We might get somebody else. And I just think that, I don't know, if I was putting money in it, I guess Sanderson's stopping. But I do massively worry about him. Massively worry about him.
Simple. And that's a lot of the things that's been going on with the club and everything. Like, we've tried different avenues and everything, but I think the basics of what we're going to find out this season, and obviously it's a big a reality check for the owners and everything as well. But when you keep things simple, I mean, like, you only have to look at the kit, actually. Like, the vast majority of the fan base is in very well reception for it, because it just looks like a Blues kit, and they've kept things simple, and they'll keep things simple with the team as well, which will be nice as well, because rather than playing stupid, ambitious football that everybody knows won't work, they're just going to stick to things that will be very simple, but also quite good to look at as well, because we'll be winning. So fans will be happy, and that's all that matters. As soon as the fans are happy, anything else, any tiny little things won't matter. As soon as everything's wrong in the club, those tiny little things become incredibly irritating. So it's just need to keep things simple, and we'll fly, and we will then, because there is no stopping us with this team at the moment.
It's that simple concept, isn't it? Play to your limitations, for the love of God. Last year, we had so many injuries, and this was the one moment I realised that we were in trouble, was Stoke at home Boxing Day when we lost 3-1. Iwu is playing right back. Right, I know Rooney's tactic was, I want my fullbacks pushing forward, but if you are not quick enough to get back, do not go forward, because at least 2 of them goals came from Iwu bombing forward, ball over the top, and goal. Every time. And if you can't get back, don't go forward. And it's that stuff where we kept trying stuff that didn't work. Now we've got a squad where we can actually do this. Laird, I don't know what position Laird's playing at the minute, because it looks like he's playing up front half the time, following into wing back for the rest of it. Like, he looks like he's having a whale of a time.
But I think, with that, the way that we're going to, I think the philosophy of the manager, we're going to ship goals. And I'm not saying we're going to ship loads of goals. We're going to give up chances. But the difference is, I think we're going to be horrible to play against midfield and up front. I think there'll be a lot of 3-1s and 4-1s this season.
Yeah, 5-4s
and you don't mind. You don't mind if Laird's sort of playing high if he's effective. Whereas before, we've got a wing back, a fullback bombing on and delivering absolutely nothing. So the buzzword is to be effective, isn't it? So let's hope that's the case. So come on then, Jamie. Tomorrow night, how do you think it's going to play out? Well, I mean, predictions are a bit tough given that it's a pre-season friendly. But what do you think?
I think if we're going to see what the manager's football's all about tomorrow night, to see it, isn't it? I expect it to be just an absolute game of carnage of end-to-end football, chance after chance either side, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think it'll just be, if you're a neutral watching it, I think you'd really enjoy the game tomorrow night to watch it. Yeah, I think it'll be high scoring. I imagine like 2-3-2, 3-3, something mental like that.
Yeah,
Tommy.
Well, I think it'll be a nice night, as like Jamie's alluded to there. I think like all the Trevor Francis stuff will be nice. Be nice to have a look around the ground, see what they've been doing as well. We'll come on to that a little bit as well. But I think predictions-wise, I agree with Jamie. It'll be like 3-2, 4-2 sort of thing. I can't see it being very low scoring, to be honest. Pre-season games very rarely are. As long as we don't get thumped, then that'll be all right, because I think it'd be interesting, really, because it'd be like finally to see how close we are to ready to the start of the season. But yeah, 3-2, 4-2, either way, I wouldn't really be bothered, to be honest. But yeah, be interesting. It's going to be a good night.
Yeah, I'm for once not really bothered about the scoreline. I just want to see. I just want to see us play like we did for parts of the game on Saturday, and see how that stacks up against better opposition, and how we handle not having the ball, because we'll certainly won't have the ball for decent periods of the game, I would imagine. So, and just seeing people like Pike, who I think he could be our player if we can keep hold of him. I think he could be unbelievable for us next season. So. Maybe an entertaining and one for Trevor, a high-scoring draw, 3-3, 4-4 would be nice. And it'd be good to celebrate Trev, obviously, because without him, we wouldn't have the club that we've got, and that is an absolute fact. So very much looking forward to going and paying the respects that he absolutely deserves tomorrow. And I guess before we wind it up, start of a new season, it feels like the first proper fixture, really. Jamie, what are you looking forward to the most? Going back to when you go back, if you've got to make it tomorrow, your first game when you do go back, what are you looking forward to? Have you heard any rumours that things have changed, or how's it look? What's your sort of your go-to plan for going to your first game?
I am very much a man of doing the same thing over and over again. I will go to the roost. I will meet up with my mates. I will go into the ground. I
Good
will
dog.
sulk about the football. I'm more just looking forward to the positive atmosphere. I said on relegation day to Tommy, I said, like, no matter what happens, like win, lose, or draw on this day, and we went down. It's going to be the last bad day we feel as a football club for a very long time, no matter what happens today. There is so much positive atmosphere. These owners know what they're doing. I actually feel confident in these owners and know that they are actually caring. The fact that our owner goes away games is absolute jokes, and I love it. I'm all for it. Like, I just think there's such a positive atmosphere and feel at the minute. I'm just excited to see how this season goes because I think we're going to win a lot more bloody games as well. For the love of God, like we're going to win games. Like, that's what I'm looking forward to. I don't have to leave depressed after 90 minutes every week and go, "That was shit. That was a good 0-0 with Rotherham. Thanks for that. Nice one. Oh, we lost 1-0 to Watford. Why? Because we backpassed it to the fucking Dennis 1-on-1. Nice. Like, so yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. I want to see like a clinical goal scorer. I want to see Alfie May bang that trick in and be like, "Oh, sound! Look at that! That's wonderful! That nice." I'm done now.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Tommy, that's a tough one to follow, but over to you.
Do I just repeat everything that he said then? Yeah, I agree though, to be honest. Like the positive atmosphere is going to be nice to hear because, I mean, it was nice actually because whenever I go pre-season, obviously, Blues fans are just their best, you know. I mean, like we went to a pub before the game, just loads of Blues fans there. I mean, there was literally one pub on the corner of where the game was being played, and it looks like a really big pub when we were going in. And honestly, the bar was like the size of a hotel check-in desk. Honestly, it was about that big, tiny. And the Blues fans just like fed up waiting for the queue and everything. So they just went behind the bar and started pouring themselves one. So just like couldn't be bothered really. So I'm looking forward to the blind robbing. That's gonna be funny. Yeah, the positive atmosphere. I mean, like I love Blues fans, but there's nothing worse than Blues fans when we're moaning, honestly, because we're just so irritating, honestly. And I love Blues fans for everything, but God above, when things go wrong, it's just the end of the world, honestly. And I'm no better for it as well, honestly. I'm terrible when the Blues are losing. I fucking hate it. But also looking at like the ground and everything. I mean, obviously they've done a huge amount of work on it. Obviously the new stuff on the bar and everything. Seats, no, not seats. Sorry, the pitch and everything. New screens as well going in as well. Wi-Fi is going to be much better. That's needed something huge over time. And also, what else was there? There was the bar. Oh yeah, the sound speakers as well. That was all big. It was all in the video that Nick Smith did earlier for the Blues official Twitter and everything. So that was like fantastic. You know, it's like I'm just like fascinated by stuff, all that. You know, it's incredible to look at and think, yeah, that's where I'm going to be sat next season and actually a part of it all. It feels all like a bit of a weird dream at the moment. It feels like when you go back there, it's just going to be the same crap old Blues, really. But going back there and looking at how much of an experience it is, it's just going to be fantastic. And one thing that I've really been pleased with, that the fact that they're focusing on more, is making like St Andrews like the place to be afterwards the game, you know, because I think West Ham did it as well. But they kept their ground open so that people could sit and have drinks afterwards. So you wouldn't have to rush home, you know, like when at the moment, or season's gone by, as soon as the game's finished, you want to get out as soon as possible because like we have to travel back anyway. So like getting out of traffic in Birmingham is horrible. And, you know, if knowing that you don't have to rush home, you can just sit around for a bit, that's fantastic business wise. And it's great for your fan base as well because you feel like they're more connected to the ground, they're spending more time there, you know, and they're going to open the bar up earlier as well, so people can go in at 12, have a drink, sit down, watch the warm-ups and everything, you know, be part of the build-up to the game and everything. So like it's just going to be great, you know, like it's what the club has needed for such a long time now. It's like it's refreshing, really. So it's good to see that they're putting these ideas into effect now. So I'm for it, you know, and as soon as the season gets started and we're playing well and the environment's good and the atmosphere's great and the entertainment's great as well, they're bringing back half-time entertainment too. That's going to be fantastic. So bring on Chip and Win, bring on the fat old bloke slipping over at half-time from the 30-yard board. That's going to be great. It's going to be like watching the Blues, but more enjoyable again. So it's going to be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to the season now.
Yeah, I mean, I was there about a month ago when they're putting the screens up, and it's just so basic, but it just makes such a big difference. I mean, you know, this isn't like trying to do anything overly special. It's just they do get those. They're very good at the easy wins that you need a bit of investment, but you're not talking huge amounts of money.
Yeah,
and I don't know whether the fan zone will be open for the Rangers game, which is by the main stand, sort of back of the George. That's going to be awesome. That is going to be
proper wicked.
You wait till you see it. I've seen the drawings. Obviously, I haven't seen it. It's been the project sort of started last Saturday, I think. So it'll certainly be ready in the majority for the first home game. Probably won't be open for tomorrow. I think they'll want to really push that one. But yeah, it's majorly exciting. I think we've got the makings of a bloody good squad, and I'm hoping that the manager can deliver what I think we all feel that he can do. He's come across unbelievably well. It's just great to have somebody just intellectual to actually manage a football club. Not saying Gary Rowett wasn't, but we could all probably do a Gary Rowett pre and post match speech. Mowbray was different class because he was just honest, and I do sort of. Part of me, if he'd have stayed, we wouldn't have gone down. So, but he's obviously. We just hope his health is certainly better than it was. But clean slate, and I just think for once this slate is cleaner than it probably has been for quite a few years. So, fingers crossed. Yeah. So, I think on that note, boys, we'll wrap it up. Thank you very much for your time. It's the start of yet another. A long road, let's put it that way. But hopefully there's going to be a promotion at the end of it. So, Jamie, thanks so much for your time.
No worries, mate. And you, pleasure.
And Tommy, thank you, and look forward to seeing all your various bits and pieces. And you're going mad on the terraces very shortly tomorrow night, to be fair. So yeah, that's it. We'll wrap it up. Big game in memory of Trevor tomorrow. If you can't be there, then Just pay your respects in any way you can, because without that man, this club would not be where it is today. That is for absolutely sure. So, I'm sure we'll touch base after that. Between now and then, keep right on.
Keep right on.
Keep right on, boys.